In the prior episode of Launch Title Madness, we entered round 2 with a bang. We gave all the Fusion Frenzy fans from the original Xbox blue balls as the furry blue little creature Sonic kept his little adventure going through Launch Title Madness. We also pissed off Xbox fans once again with everybody's favorite little angel, the first-person shooter darling, Halo, taking the loss to Super Mario Brothers. In today's episode of Launch Title Madness, Zelda Breath of the Wild goes head-to-head with Super Mario World. We also see Rogue Leader from the Nintendo GameCube face off with another GameCube counterpart, Luigi and his stupid little flashlight in Luigi's mansion. As this series moves on, the decisions get harder and harder every single time, and we are bound to ruffle somebody's feathers. We're bound to light somebody's wick. And Jack is about to be nimble, and he's gonna pick up a little candlestick and shove it straight up somebody's ass. Welcome to Launch Title Madness.
Welcome to Gaming Off the Grid. Boom shakalaka.
You have arrived at episode 2 of round 2 of Launch Title Madness. Dude, things are getting more and more difficult, and you also find yourself in the heart of Bad Beer Month.
Yes, with some Coors Banquet, straight from the Rockies, baby.
Yeah, I think of Lethal Weapon every time I see Coors Banquet and Smokey and the Bandit. Because I'm pretty sure that's what they're delivering in Smokey and the Bandit, if memory serves me.
I'd have to watch it again.
Sergeant Buford T. Justice. I love that movie. Well, it's kind of a shitty movie, but I kind of like it because my grandpa liked it.
Oh, that's right.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Things make sense.
Yeah.
We gotta move on to the first matchup in Launch Title Madness in this episode, and that's Breath of the Wild from the Nintendo Switch going against Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo.
It's going to be a bloody match.
Yeah, let's look at these contenders.
The open-world Zelda game that fans have longed for many a year. Zelda Breath of the Wild changed the Zelda landscape, and ironically enough, is a Zelda game that Zelda hardcores tend to bitch about a little bit. But all that aside, Breath of the Wild is nothing short of breathtaking. No pun intended. In its first appearance in the bracket, it took out the beloved Wii Sports, and it's a controversial entry in this bracket as it was simultaneously released on the Wii U and the Switch on the same day. Does this fan-voted launch title have what it takes to prevail for another round in Launch Title Madness? You're gonna have to stay tuned.
Super Mario World is exactly that. Super. Released with the Super Nintendo in 1990, it's often considered one of the best Mario games and one of the best games ever made. After taking out Panzer Dragoon in the last round, does Mario have enough power-ups to take on Zelda? Time will tell.
Good old Nintendo versus Nintendo. I mean, these games were both groundbreaking games. Yep. I know there's a lot of folks who are like, but it's not really a launch title being Breath of the Wild because it was a Wii U game. It released the same day on both consoles. So it was a launch title because it released on the same day. And all the entries in this are fan voted. We didn't pick the games. You guys picked the games.
So get upset at yourself, okay?
Yeah. It was a groundbreaking Zelda game, kind of reinvented the wheel. Yeah. I believe it was 2017's Game of the Year.
Open world, freaking 3D, beautiful environments. A beautiful game. I know that it outsold the Switch. Like,
initially,
more copies of Breath of the Wild outsold the console.
Yeah, for like the first 4 or 5 months,
which
I think.
Says a lot for a launch title.
Yeah.
But then, you got arguably one of the best games ever made, Super Mario World. For the Super Nintendo, it was a reason to get a Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it's tough because in their respective categories, I mean, it's tough to know what the history and the lore around Breath of the Wild will be long term. But I think both of these games are going to go down as two of the greatest video games ever freaking made. This is really, really tough. I'm interested to see where you're leaning because I kind of... Just because of time and the history and the long-lasting impact, Super Mario World for me is just that timeless classic. I don't know that Breath of the Wild will live up to that, it needs time to determine
Yeah,
that.
it's so new.
I don't know.
It's really tough. My initial thought is Super Mario World because of it's just an amazing game. But then I'm also like, but Breath of the Wild, man, it outsold the console for the first couple months. Like, that says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a game that brought a lot of people back into the Zelda franchise. If freaking people love that game so much. This is tough.
If you've been through Breath of the Wild once, maybe twice, I think you'd have to be a hardcore to do that. I think a lot of people who've beaten or played Super Mario World
Still go back to it.
I feel like more people actually have played that game, just in general, and even maybe in its respective pocket of time. I feel like so many gamers were blown away by Super Mario World. I love Breath of the Wild, though, but I don't know if it's nostalgia speaking, but I just don't think that when you look back, even if you were to watch this episode, which who would be, 15, 20 years from now.
If you are, leave a comment.
I still think Super Mario World will be a notch ahead. I think it's hard to say it's the better game. They're completely different styles of games, but it's just so iconic. And for such an iconic franchise, and to be arguably the best entry in that franchise, which I know a lot of Zelda fans that would not say Breath of the Wild is the pinnacle of the franchise. I think there's a lot of people that would put a Link to the Past in there, or Ocarina of Time, and maybe even some old school folks that would maybe throw in the original Zelda on the NES. And I think it's not as divisive to say Super Mario World is the best in the franchise. It's there, or maybe Mario 3, but I think Super Mario World's better.
The leap from Mario 3 to Super Mario World was insane. It's such a beautiful game. I know we're gonna piss a lot of people off,
which is cool.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I love making people angry. I think we have to go with Super Mario World.
I do too. I just think it's going to have a longer appeal. I think it is relevant, as it's ever been. I think people go back to that game all the time. I think if you pick up a Super Nintendo today in 2021, ironically enough, we just did an episode on that if you want to check it out. But I think that's a game you have to buy. And I also think Breath of the Wild would be a game you have to buy on the Switch.
On the Switch, yeah.
These rounds moving forward, we're going to be really splitting hairs. This is going to be so freaking tough. Personal preference, I've played both games. I love both games. Both are icons. If I were to grab a game and put it in right now, I would put in Super Mario World over Breath of the Wild.
And that's just because that's like the style of game we like, because it's quicker.
Yeah.
I think Super Mario World has to win.
Yeah.
Even though Breath of the Wild, it's iconic.
It's 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
And they're both fantastic.
One of them has to go. Okay.
This is where this is going to get really tough.
Let's just move on before we piss them off even more. And say Super Mario World is moving on, because we got to move on to the next matchup, and that's Star Wars Rogue Leader from the GameCube against another GameCube game, Luigi's Mansion. Oh my god!
Impressive freaking launch though for the GameCube.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out. But this is gonna be another tough one. Let's take a look at these contenders.
Luigi finally got his standalone game in Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo GameCube. Technically, it's his second standalone game, but does Mario is Missing really count? I don't think so. Taking out Assassin's Creed in the prior round and being the 5th best-selling GameCube game of all time, does Luigi have enough suck in his vacuum to take on the Force from Star Wars Rogue Leader? Let's find out.
It is very difficult for three-dimensional shooters to stand the test of time, especially a three-dimensional spaceship shooter from 2001. Star Wars Rogue Leader is marvelous. It is a game that is still visually breathtaking today, and Star Wars fans around the globe consider it one of the best Star Wars games ever made. It's got a tall order in front of it today, as it takes on another GameCube launch title, Luigi's Mansion.
Mario!
With Rayman from the PlayStation 1 in Rogue Leader's rearview mirror, does it have what it takes to prevail? Once again, in launch title madness, time will tell. Another matchup where I adore both of these games. In this instance, if I'm testing a GameCube that I pick up or something to that effect, these are both games that are right there that I like to put in and play, and I usually lose myself in. Star Wars fans, I think the Rogue Leader series, maybe the second one or this one, they're both still beautiful and up there with best Star Wars games ever made.
Dude, they are phenomenal, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. But then, go on to Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's standalone game, not a Mario game launching with a GameCube. Such a weird freaking thing.
And not a platformer.
A scaredy cat Luigi
yeah.
going around sucking up ghosts. Like, what the hell is it?
Yeah.
But, oh my god, the charm of it. It's such a beautiful game.
It's tough. We're both Star Wars fans. You're probably a bigger Star Wars fan than I. I'm a huge Luigi fan, and I really, really appreciate... I still think the first one is the best in the series.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what Nintendo did, taking kind of a risk. You know, had they came out with maybe a Mario game or something, maybe the console would have done better. I don't know. But I did like the offbeat that they took with that. It's a very atypical release. At the time, it definitely was. And you've already mentioned, but there's so much charm. It's one of those games that we revisit time and time again. Especially
every October.
Yeah, it's
every
perfect
Halloween.
for that. Both great games.
Both amazing launch titles.
Personally, for me, I prefer Luigi's Mansion.
Yes.
It's a close gap, but I do prefer Luigi's Mansion.
I love them both, but I think Luigi's Mansion has to... If you're picking up a GameCube, that's like one of the games you have to get. I mean, not saying that Star Wars isn't, but I feel like if you're not a Star Wars fan, you're not going to pick that up.
Yeah.
It's a very niche game for like Star Wars fans.
Top of the heap for Star Wars games?
Yeah.
But comparatively what it's up against, I think it's too tall of an order for it to mow down Luigi's Mansion.
I think Luigi's Mansion is sucking up Star Wars Rogue Leader. That's so gross.
Anyways, Super Mario World, Luigi's Mansion, moving on. Some of these you just gotta kind of pull the freaking trigger. You know?
Just have to, because we could talk all day about it.
Yeah.
Going back and forth, comparing things.
It's not going to get any easier as this tournament goes on. You're going to have to let us know, light us up in the comment section, but let us know, did we get it right, did we get it wrong? What would you have done different? And hell, maybe you're like, I wouldn't even be at this point, son, because I would have done the whole damn bracket different. Well, hey, it is what it is. We're here now. This is what we have to go with. And again, all the games in here were chosen by the audience. So,
it's you.
There you go. But anyway, the banquet beer.
The banquet beer, bad beer month.
It's underway.
Banquet in a freaking awesome glass bottle. I've had this beer so much.
I have too. I feel like Mel Gibson when I drink it from Lethal Weapon. I think is it the first one? Maybe it's the second one, but I think it's the first one. His fridge, that's all he has, like in his little camper. That's
just all he has.
Banquet.
Full of it.
Yeah.
I feel like a grandpa when I drink it. It's awesome.
Because you've always wanted to be a grandpa.
That's my life goal.
You never wanted to be a dad, but you want to be a grandpa.
No, that's because fuck being a dad. Grandpa's where it's at.
Yeah.
This is such a good beer.
It's crisp.
For being just a American lager, Banquet has a different, like it's heavier. Has like a different taste than just a generic lager. I don't know what it is. It's super clear. When you're reporting it, I was like, oh, wow.
You know, and I don't know how close, I hope this is like the original recipe, but I know back before Coors was like a nationally distributed deal, Coors Banquet kind of had like a Yingling vibe to it. People would drive over to Colorado, at least from our state, and probably others as well.
Just to get this.
Just to get Coors Banquet. And, then it became a big deal. And I think now, obviously, Coors Light's the horse that they ride all the way, to the bank. But Coors Banquet's still badass. And I'm not shitting on Coors Light, but I'd rather grab a Coors Banquet all day long.
This beer is so good. And I love on this, it says 1936 stubby bottle.
Yeah.
So they've been using the same bottle since 1936.
That exact bottle, actually.
Yeah.
That one.
Ooh, it smells like the good old days.
Yeah. It is just an iconic beer. It's just something about these type of beers that just that Americana. It just feels right. This is a similar experience to what our granddads were having back in the day.
And it's a great summer beer. It's a great hot beer because it's not super heavy.
It's not overcomplicated.
It's just crisp, refreshing after work beer. Pop it.
Yeah, and if we had lawns to mow, we'd probably drink it after we did that.
But we don't.
No, we film videos instead. So, anyways, I as far as American adjunct lagers, I think Coors is right in the race there. What would you say as we go along? What would you rather have, this or PBR? I'd probably rather have PBR ever so slightly. But
I think so, but I love how unique this is.
Yeah.
This just has a heaviness to it that after a while I'm like, okay, heaviness might not be the right word, but it has something that's like
it's different,
heavier. I don't know how to describe it, but I'd probably rather have PBR, but I still really like this.
Yeah, it's a good change up from time to time, But anyways, Bad Beer Month will continue, and so will Launch Title Madness. In the next round, we have Tekken Tag versus SSX, and F-Zero versus Forza. And I think it's the Forza from Xbox One, is that correct? And I know in the episode we said it was a 4K version. It's not, just HD. And we had a lot of those freaking hardcore, tech people. You guys misspoke. It's not 4K. So let's clear that up right now. I'll make sure to clear it up for you in that episode too, so you can sleep at night. That's really important.
Well, we play our Xbox One on a CRT.
Yeah.
So it looks 4K to us, okay?
So settle down. But anyways, this has been fun. We appreciate you guys tuning in, subscribing to the channel, and make sure you're hitting the damn bell. I've been saying that in a couple episodes now, but I think we're only at like 22% of our subscribers have rung that bell. If you want freedom and some liberty in your life, you would ring the bell for our channel, because we will help you get there. And we'll see you next time right here on Launch Title Madness on Gaming Off the Grid. You have arrived at episode 2 of round 2 of Launch Title Madness. All right. Should we give this a sip? I mean, it's not quite as
Let's see what this beer's about.
ceremonious. But...
Ooh, refreshing.
In the prior episode of Launch Title Madness, and Jack is about to be nimble, and he's gonna pick up a little candlestick and shove it straight up somebody's ass. Welcome to Launch Title Madness.
I'll fucking children's book on him.
All right.